students, starting in kindergarten and building from there.
So what we're focusing on at the elementary level is understanding how the math works. So we can train students to treat it like an engine of a car. We teach them each piece and how they work together, so as they progress to middle and high school, they can begin diagnosing problems and fixing them quickly.
All eyes up here.
Moving from procedure-driven math to concept-driven math meant making a lot of changes. First and foremost, ensuring our teachers had the tools and the support they needed, whether that was in person or online.
What we try to help teachers do is find ways to differentiate the work for students. So we're helping them figure out how do they introduce it, what types of problems might best support particular learning.
Two minutes.
Get somebody to get a picture of you with him so that we can put it on the board website. So yeah, get some pictures and. Okay, tonight I will not.
Hey, you got my text. Hey,
I know, it's the story of my life.
I am delighted. Thank you very much, everybody. Matt Schellenberg. I don't know if you remember me. Hey. What's your name again? Yeah, I know. That's what I'm thinking. Hey, Warren, I'm supposed to be at LUZ.
Oh,
You're in the wrong place.
Right, you're wrong.
Like, I'm not surprised. Funny.
Did you really?
Nina's gonna give me that look. Like right at the start. I think he knows his way down. Hi, how are you?
You know you have a slight twin. That gentleman that he's wearing a red jacket. Every time I see him, I think.
Now I want to hear it.
Look at his hair.
I don't think he's as bad.
Well, I don't
Well,
get
you
into
know what?
it. I just see there's some. Oh Lord.
I'm waiting for that look from Nina that says start.
We have an entertainment tonight.
Did you want to say? The School Board of the Duval County District is now convened in its regular monthly meeting. To everyone present and to our television viewers, I wish to extend a warm welcome to this meeting of the Duval County School Board. The vision statement of the Duval County School Board states, "Every student is inspired and prepared for success in college, career, and life." The mission statement of the Duval County School Board is to provide educational excellence in every school and every classroom for every student, every day. The Duval County School Board is here tonight to listen to reports from district staff and to set policy for the district that will improve student achievement. We will also address budgets, contracts, personnel appointments, and other business items that require a vote of the board. The management and day-to-day operations of the district are the responsibility of the superintendent. It is not the role of the board to make managerial or operational decisions. The board has policies and procedures in place to assist the superintendent in resolving management and operational issues. If items appear to move quickly, it is because the board meets in an agenda committee meeting prior to the board meeting for an in-depth review of all agenda items. The committee meeting for the March 5, 2019 school board meeting will be held on February 19th, 2019 at 9 a.m. and the public is invited to attend. As a show of courtesy and respect to each other, we ask that all mobile phones be turned off and that no flash photography be used during the meeting. For those wishing to address the board during our public comments portion of the board meeting, please note that we will accept speaker cards until 6:20 p.m. Thank you for taking the time to join us this evening and for your interest in the operation of the Duval County School District. Board members, I invite you to stand for the opening message given tonight by Joe Pepper, CEO of the Kids Hope Alliance, and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. We will just do a moment of silence. Pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Tonight, Mayport Middle School Principal Katrina McCray, District 2, Elizabeth Anderson, is going to present. Is that right? Mayport Middle School. And then when you're finished, Board Member Anderson, if you'd like to make a statement.
Good evening. Good evening. I just want to thank you for the opportunity for Mayport Coastal Sciences Middle School to share with you the program that we have spent the last 10 years developing and pulling to a point of sustainability with the help of, and I have to call them out, my students who are members of the FFA, our teacher leaders, my assistant principal, Mr. Cook, my other assistant principal, where is she? Brooke Heitzman, and our teacher leaders. Where we are today, I have to attribute strongly to my teacher leaders. I have Jill Sullivan, who was a 16-17 finalist Teacher of the Year, and Will Smith, 17-18 finalist Teacher of the Year. What I want to share with you is where we are and the sustainability of our program is due to the commitment and the continuity that we have made between our parents, our business partners, our teachers, our students. The elementary school, I have to mention, Mayport Coastal Sciences Academy, and the colleges who have been true partners with our school from the beginning. Jacksonville University, UNF, and of course our high schools. We made sure we set up a program that was going to prepare our children for the next level, whether it be high school, whether it be careers, or whether it would be secondary education colleges. So before we get started, we have a short video to share with you.
I'm William Smith, the Coastal Sciences Department lead at Mayport Coastal Sciences Middle School and 2018 Duval County Teacher of the Year finalist. Mayport Coastal Sciences Middle School is a whole school magnet where all children will have the opportunity to engage in coastal sciences topics where they will learn the importance of environmental stewardship. We offer a full array of opportunities for all of our students, including standard, pre-AP, and GATE cohorts. At Mayport, We also believe in hands-on learning. So we have more than 50 fish tanks ranging from 1 gallon all the way to 400 gallons, housing more than 50 different species, with 4 large tanks that are dedicated to studying commercial aquaculture production. We also have clubs that include the Future Farmers of America, Scholar Bowl, the Morning Marine Biology Club, and an underwater robotics team. We also have a variety of sports ranging from football to basketball, soccer, swimming, baseball, and softball. And we also have a weather STEM unit that records the weather patterns around our school. I'm a proud member of the Mayport community. Go Sharks!
Okay, so one of the things that I was going to share with you, the video highlighted a lot of our specialty programs and kind of talked about what makes us special. With what Ms. McCray stated, we have students that come to us from all parts of the city through our magnet program, and because we have a neighborhood and magnet enrollment of students, they don't have a direct continuity to any specific high school. So we set out on a course to ensure that these students are going to be prepared with the correct rigor and also the access to the courses they need to get into any of the high schools that they want to. So you'll see our students can take up to 6 high school courses by the time they leave us in 8th grade, and that is a variety of your traditional maths, your biology. We have Spanish 1. Aquaculture is one of the unique programs that we have that some of the other schools do not here in Duval County. And then we also have the advanced information technology that allows our students to do the CTE testing. One of the proud things that we stated is we want to make sure our kids are prepared. Our Algebra 1 and biology scores had over a 98% pass rate, and that's not just for a few kids. We had over 100 kids take each of those courses in the last few years. And our biology teacher, Ms. Sullivan, had the highest pass rate of all middle and high schools the last year. So does a great job with that program. We'll go to the next slide. So just this highlights some of our unique electives that is specific to our magnet program. So we have our engineering and robotics program, where they can do a variety of STEM activities, and they do a lot of hands-on learning. They work with 3D printers and just a variety of cool aspects that the kids can get engaged in active learning. We have our coastal science programs that runs from 6th all the way up to 8th grade. And those students there, they start in small tanks with fresh water and build all the way up to full-on fish farming when they get to 8th grade and full-on aquaculture. They also have a heavy capacity for gardens where they're putting their hands on and doing things outside daily. And then we also have a unique, we have a weather station that's on top of our school. It's called WeatherSTEM, and we have a course for meteorology that the kids can experience and get live real data with that program. And then we have all the traditional electives that a normal middle school would have as well. So that's kind of what makes us special. I'm going to introduce Ms. Sullivan here so she can talk about our clubs and our field studies that the kids get to full-on engage in the coastal sciences.
Hello, my name is Jill Sullivan. My job is to ensure that the science that the children are doing at our school does not stay in the classroom. It actually has a community impact. And we want them to have a love for our natural resources in Florida as well as for learning. So, for example, we have created partnerships with Jacksonville University to study the plankton in the St. Johns River. We have made a partnership with University of Florida to study microplastics. And we've also have a relationship with Florida State Community College because they also have an aquaculture facility there. So we've done that, and we're also taking them out into other avenues, such as we've taken our students are able to see the small production of taking animal husbandry and aquariums here, and then one of our capstones when they graduate 8th grade, we take them to the Georgia Aquarium where they're able to sleep behind the scenes and see how that is done big time, where you have a whole floor just for pumps. So the kids enjoyed that with the love of learning. I'd like to introduce Mr. Smith, who's going to talk to you about our career and technical student organizations.
Good afternoon.
I really could talk all day about our career and technical student organizations, but I promise I won't bore you that long. But those organizations really are built to take what we're teaching the students in the classroom and give them real world practice in what they're doing. You saw in the video, our underwater robotics team was the first place in the obstacle course, and that's an international competition. So they built that robot, they piloted that robot, and spent time practicing and developing their skills to do that. Also, our aquaculture students and our other coastal sciences students participate in the FFA. The FFA is a agriculturally based leadership organization. It's the largest youth organization in the country with more than 500,000 members. And at our school, we have one of, if not the largest chapter in the state with 435 members this year. Those students have done everything from first place in the aquaculture competition several times to last year we placed very high in the ornamental horticulture demonstrations and the extemporaneous public speaking competitions as well, which were first for us. So we are really truly taking all of the things that we are teaching our students in the classroom, and we're taking that and applying it in those CTSO organizations. Tonight we have a few of the students that participate in those organizations. Is John Crockett, who happens to be the student who placed fourth in the state as a sixth grader in the extemporaneous public speaking competition. This is Will Rimpson, one of our vice presidents of our FFA club at our school, and then Emily Machinsky, who is the president of that club there at our school.
I'm going to wrap this up by saying, when I hear my teacher leaders, my school leaders speak about everything we have accomplished and developed and built over the last, for me, 12 years at Mayport Coastal Sciences Middle School, it takes my breath away. I'm proud of them, and I am proud to have had the opportunity to share with all of you the hidden jewel of the beach, Mayport Coastal Sciences Middle School. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. My son visited your school and had an opportunity to be in a classroom, and he was so excited he called me and said, "Mom, have you been to Mayport Middle School? You need to go out there." But I know that Board Member Anderson is proud of you and has some things to say.
Thank you so much, Ms. McRae and the team, Ms. Sullivan and Mr. Smith, for showing me around. I got to go visit Mayport Middle this week, and so I got to feed some fish and see the wonderful things that are happening there in their aquaculture and agri-science. It's really impressive. I know that you are an integral part of the Mayport community, and the programming that you offer there is first class. It's pretty impressive. I was blown away. So thank you so much for taking the time to share that with me. Thank you so much for the hard work that you do for children and inspiring them to care more about our Florida ecosystems. So I appreciate it very much. Thank you to our community partners and to our university partners as well for continuing to make those programs happen there.
Thank you. So now if Dr. Green and Board Member Anderson will go down front for the presentation of certificates and recognition tonight.
So tonight we begin by recognizing our championship-winning and history-making Mandarin and William M. Raines High School football teams. In doing so, we will be reading the Jacksonville City Council resolutions written in their honor. Joining us this evening is District 6 Councilman Matt Schellenberg, who not only represents Mandarin, but he did play a key role in getting both of these resolutions passed. So we're going to begin with the Mandarin High School Mustangs. A resolution honoring and commending the Mandarin High School Mustang football team on winning their first state Class A football championship. Whereas the Mandarin Mustangs football team has experienced modest success on the gridiron over the years, winning only 3 playoff games in its 28-year history and finishing the 2017 season with a record of 2-8 and a 6-game losing streak. And whereas the Mustangs started the 2018 season with a 2-3 record before catching fire,
with a 5-game winning streak and making an amazing run to the playoffs, where they shut out DeLand High by a score of 35-0. Soundly defeated the Winter Park High School at 41-8, won a hard-fought 19-7 victory over Apopka's Wakava High School, and outdueled Sarasota's Riverview High by a score of 45-31 to reach the state championship game. And whereas in a thrilling matchup with powerhouse Columbus High School of Miami, a team with a 14-0 record that had reached the Class A semifinals in 5 of the last 8 years, Mandarin prevailed by a final score of 37-35 in a game that was not decided until the Mustangs thwarted a big fourth-quarter comeback by the Explorers by stopping a 2-point conversion that would have tied the game with 1:17 remaining, and then recovered the onside kick to preserve the victory. And whereas a huge factor in Mandarin's exciting victory was the performances of quarterback Carson Beck, who threw for 5 touchdowns, Jerome Jolly, who made the tackle to stop the game-tying 2-point conversion, and a great night from wide receiver defensive back Demario Douglas, who set a state championship game record with 4 touchdown receptions in addition to an interception. And whereas with their victory, Mandarin High School becomes the second Duval County Public High School to win a state football championship, and they did so in stunning and heart-pounding fashion. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Council of the City of Jacksonville. The City of Jacksonville hereby honors and commends the Mandarin High School Mustangs football team, its head coach Bobby Ramsey, his assistant coaches, the players, parents, supporters, and fans on winning the Florida Class A football championship, and extends the city's heartiest congratulations on an amazing and unexpected season of success. The championship has brought tremendous excitement and pride to the city, and the council extends its best wishes to everyone affiliated with Mandarin High School for much more academic and athletic success in the years to come. And so tonight we have head coach Bobby Ramsey, coaches John Murphy, Jonathan Reed, and Thad Boggs, Principal John Nisley, as well as the Family and Community Engagement Executive Director Tia Leathers, District Athletic Director Tammy Talley are also here. Right now, we wish to congratulate Mandarin High School on this victory.
Players ought to take a knee up front. Gotta get a little taller there, buddy. Congratulations, fellas.
And as we prepare to bring up the Reigns football team, each board member is getting a t-shirt commemorating each team and their championship. So now we wish to bring up the Reigns football team, and we'll begin reading their resolution. A resolution honoring and commending the Reigns High School Vikings football team on winning back-to-back Class 4A state championships. Whereas until 2017, only one Duval County Public High School had ever won an FHSAA-sanctioned state football championship, the Reigns High School Vikings in 1997, until the Vikings won their second championship by defeating Cocoa High School by a score of 13-10. And whereas this year the Vikings ran off 12 consecutive victories after a regular season Week 1 defeat, including dominating playoff wins over Mariana by a score of 47-9, a 42-0 shutout of West Nassau, and a 48-0 drubbing of Dunallen to reach the state championship game. And whereas in a rematch against 4-time state champion Cocoa High School, Reigns again came out on top in the matchup with the Tigers by a score of 27-13, in a game which its dominating defense caused 5 turnovers and a balanced offense pulled away from a Coco comeback attempt in the second half, thereby becoming the first Duval County Public High School ever to win consecutive state football championships. And whereas the consecutive state titles mark the first time since 1994 to 1996 that a public school team from the Northeast Florida area has won back-to-back football championships, showing the difficulty of that achievement. And whereas the Vikings' victory has brought tremendous excitement to the Jacksonville community and hopes for continuing success in future seasons. Now therefore be it resolved by the Council of the City of Jacksonville, the City of Jacksonville hereby honors and commends the Reigns High School Vikings football team on winning their second consecutive Class 4A state championship and extends to head coach Duran Wiley, his assistant coaches, the players, parents, and supporters of Reigns High School, the city's heartiest congratulations and best wishes for much academic and athletic success in the future. The team's accomplishments is a source of tremendous pride for the Jacksonville community and demonstrates the value of belief, dedication, and hard work to achieving a lofty goal. And here tonight, along with the players, are head coach Duran Wiley, coaches Daryl Bartley, Rod Carter, Daryl Pullins, Carrie Williams, assistant principal Anthony Scarlett, principal Vincent Hall. Congratulations to the Reigns High School football team.
Watch out. Congratulations. How you doing? Thank you. Congratulations.
For our next presentation, just over 2,700. That is the current number of Duval County Public School students who are considered homeless. When it comes to the district's support of these students, every dollar counts. Tonight, we're pleased to honor a local group for its generous donation in this area, the Veterans of Foreign Wars Department of Florida, District 6. We're told it was the members of the VFW who took the initiative, reaching out to Team Duval with a desire to help these students. They did their research and decided to make a $1,500 donation to our Families in Transition office. This money comes as a huge benefit to the district as leaders are limited in how they can use federal dollars. With this donation, the Families in Transition office will be able to supplement emergency expenses like food, clothing, public transportation, and toiletries, all items that can help ensure that the whole child is ready and equipped to learn. Similar donations have been made to 3 other districts in our region. Right now, District 6 Department of Florida Commander William McLucas is here to make a few words.
Good evening, Dr. Green, school board members, and attendees. I'm honored to be here to represent the 1.6 million veterans of the foreign wars and their auxiliary. The VFW Department of Florida District 6, whom I represent, has approximately 6,500 members here in Northeast Florida. What I'd like to present to you this evening is some of the programs that we have available to the school community. One of our core programs is our Voice of Democracy essay contest, which was begun in 1948. This is available to students in grades 9 through 12. Each year there are approximately 40,000 entries, and all of our essay competitions have a patriotic theme. This year the theme was Why My Vote Matters. We recently held our annual district banquet to honor our district winner, and just this past weekend at our midwinter conference in Orlando, our district winner was awarded 4th place in the state competition. She was in competition with winners from all 19 districts in Florida. This young lady started by entering our Patriots Pen competition a few years ago and is only a junior, so we expect to see her again next year. Our older brother, who is now in college, was a local winner a few years ago. Our Patriots Penn Essay competition, which each year has approximately 140,000 entries, is for grades 6 through 8. This level of competition produces many of our future Voice of Democracy participants. The theme this year was Why I Honor the American Flag. As our winners advance to the next level, excuse me, they receive an expense-paid trip to the location of the competition. Our Teacher of the Year award is one that we have had some difficulty getting participation. Awards are made on 3 levels: elementary, middle, and high school. This year we had no entries from the middle or high school level. Our winner from Brentwood Elementary was 3rd grade teacher Tiana Benton Thorbs. Our teacher winners received the same invitations to compete at the next level with expenses paid and a monetary award for the individual and the school they represent. Our auxiliaries all have a patriotic instructor and often go to the elementary schools to instruct on basic flag etiquette and history. We also have a Veteran in the Classroom program, and we are eager to appear at any level and provide age-appropriate material or just answer questions regarding our military service. We are also involved with many of the JROTC programs. On a higher level, we are active with the Student Veterans of America. We want you to be aware of these programs and utilize them as you see fit. We are here to fulfill our mission, which in part says we will serve our communities. Every year, the VFW awards over $3 million to students and teachers participating in our programs. Again, we are here to encourage participation, and we stand at the ready to do our part in educating our youth, our future leaders. Thank you.
So here with Mr. McLucas, we also have Executive Director of High School and Alternative Programs, Dr. Pamela Davis. Please help us thank the Veterans of Foreign Wars, Department of Florida, District 6 for their generous support of our students.
Thank you. Appreciate it. 1500. Told Dr. Davis his money disappeared.
For our next presentation, we now wish to celebrate 28 schools, all worthy of 5-star success and 1 tremendous honor, which is recognition from the Florida Department of Education. The 5-Star School Awards was created by the Commissioner's Community Involvement Council to recognize schools demonstrating exemplary community involvement. To earn this designation, a school must not only have a grade of C or higher, but they must also show documentation meeting 100% of the criteria in 5 areas: business partnerships, family involvement, volunteerism, student community services, and school advisory councils. Tonight, each school that earned this designation is here, represented by a principal. And we also have here on behalf of the district's Family and Community Engagement Office, Executive Director Tia Leathers, Supervisor of Partnerships and Community Engagement Brandon Mack, and Support Technician Megan Mahalik. And so for our first group of schools, we wish to recognize the following: Alamacani Elementary School, Annie R. Morgan Elementary School, Atlantic Beach Elementary School, Baldwin Middle Senior High School, Beauclerc Elementary School, Chetts Creek Elementary School, Crystal Springs Elementary School, Dinsmore Elementary School, and Duncan Fletcher Middle School. Congratulations. For our next group of 5-star award-winning schools, we have Enterprise Learning Academy, Fishweir Elementary School, Holiday Hill Elementary School, Jacksonville Beach Elementary School, John N.C. Stockton Elementary School, Loretto Elementary School, Mandarin High School, Mandarin Oaks Elementary School, and Mayport Coastal Sciences Middle School. Congratulations. For our final group of 5-star schools, we have Neptune Beach Elementary, Ocean Way Elementary, Ortega Elementary, R.V. Daniels Elementary, River City Science Academy at Mandarin, Reynolds Lane Elementary, Sable Palm Elementary, Seabreeze Elementary, Thomas Jefferson Elementary, and Twin Lakes Academy Elementary. Congratulations. Finally, the Family and Community Engagement Office would like to recognize those 5-star school award coordinators who played a huge role in these awards. So if there are any in the audience, you can please stand to be recognized. All right, congratulations. For our final presentation, we find ourselves right in the heart of National School Counseling Week. Running February 4th through the 8th, we felt there was no better time to recognize the contributions of 2 award-winning members of Team Duval, Lewis Sheffield Elementary School Counselor Jenna Gilliard and R.L. Brown Gifted and Talented Academy Principal Tammy Haberman. This evening, we celebrate Ms. Gilliard as the recipient of this year's Lucille Crystal School Counselor Award as given by the First Coast School Counselor Association. It isn't simply her small group work with students, teaching them social skills, anger management, and academic responsibilities that's impressive. It's also her ability to provide professional development workshops, her engagement of the school's community, and her students' eagerness just to learn from her that sets her apart. And she is joined tonight by her principal and nominator for this award, Cassandra DeLay. As for Principal Tammy Haberman, she is this year's recipient of the Laurel Caden Anderson Administrator Award, also given by the FCSCA. She was nominated because of her commitment in allowing her school counselor to run a comprehensive school counseling program. She provides her counselor with important classroom resources, encourages feedback, and is a big supporter of the school's Club Day program. Principal Haberman is joined this evening by her school counselor, Joshua Nelson, who she says makes her better. Here alongside our award winners is the Director of School Counseling and Acceleration Programs, Wendy Dunlap, Notoria Campbell as part of the district specialist staff, and also here with the First Coast Counseling Association are Demetrius Sapp and Karen Wade. We of course want to thank all school counselors for their dedication to Duval County Public School students, but for now, please help us congratulate Principal Haberman and School Counselor Jenna Gilliard. This concludes this evening's presentations.
Approval of the February 5th, 2019 agenda. That the Duval County School Board approve the February 5th, 2019 agenda as submitted on January 29th, 2019. Is there a motion?
Move approval of the agenda.
Second.
It was moved by Vice Chair Jones and seconded by Board Member Smith Juarez. Is there any discussion? call for your vote. By your actions, you have passed the agenda 7-0. We are at the chairman's report, and tonight, in lieu of me giving a report, I have asked the board members who attended the National School Board Association's conference in Washington, D.C. at the end of January to share about that conference. It was an advocacy conference, an opportunity to advocate on behalf of public education, as well as an equity symposium. So we will begin with Vice Chair Jones.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We spent a cold, snowy weekend and 2 days on the Hill. And of course, when we arrived, we broke up the shutdown of the government. So that was a good thing. They knew we were coming, so that changed everything. But we did enjoy the Equity Symposium on Saturday and the Advocacy Institute on Sunday and Monday. So we were working. The Saturday breakout sessions were very helpful in having us understand how to intentionally allocate resources to the schools based on need, not based on being equal. I attended two very helpful sessions that I think will pay dividends for the district going forward. And Sunday and Monday, we attended the Advocacy Institute, and there we had heard from a number of speakers, a number of legislators, congressional members who voiced support for many of the issues that we have advocated for over the years. We did attend on Tuesday. We met with our state U.S. Senator, Rubio's staff, and then we followed a meeting with congressional members, Al Lawson, that represents most of the district I represent, and Representative John Rutherford. It was very helpful, very supportive, and we asked that they support the issues that the National School Board Association was advocating for. And with that,
Board Member Grimes.
Let Ms. Grimes follow up.
We go to a lot of conferences at times, and you don't really get the quality that we had in Washington. I felt like we had some great speakers. One of the ones that I found really interesting was the keynote speaker on, I don't even know what day it was, but was the founder of Charles Best, who is the founder of Donors Choose organization. And I realized, I think, as he talked about all of the things that he's done well and what has happened since he put it together, and the amount of items that teachers get. And I think it's really important for us to make sure that all of our teachers know what Donors Choose can do for them, because it's a really wonderful opportunity for the teachers and the principals to be doing as much as they can as far as their. Everybody needs money in the I know in the anyway. I really enjoyed that, and there were several other things. I think that it was very. We were 4 of us, and I think there were another 4 from the state of Florida. So it was great for us to be able to talk to the other board members about things that they are doing, and very helpful to get to know them. So I think it was just a really great time for us to see what's going around in the nation.
Thank you. Board Member Anderson?
I'm really grateful for the opportunity to have been able to attend up in DC at both the Equity Symposium and the Advocacy Institute. In my learning, as I've come onto the board, I have discovered that Duval County is the only district in the state of Florida that has term limits. And so it's really kind of important for us as new board members to be able to come in and hit the ground running. Many of these districts have people that have been on their boards and advocating for decades. So the opportunity to go and to learn what's happening at a federal level, I'm very grateful for. We were excited to be able to meet with Senator Rubio's office as well as Congressman Lawson and Rutherford. Board Member Jones and I were able to go. Here's our picture. We got cute little red scarves from the National School Board Association. Yes, it was cold. It was cold, and of course the day we had to be outside it started snowing. But that's okay. Our Florida blood made it through. We were really encouraged by some of the conversations we had, the doors being open, and willing to speak with our legislators and our congresspeople about the agenda that the National School Board Association is important to them, but also to be able to talk about some things that we know that are going to be really important to us. Things like our IDEA funding, our infrastructure, FERPA, a variety of things that at the federal level will be able to impact our state legislation as well as we move into session here. So it was a wonderful opportunity, and we look forward to continuing our advocacy.
Thank you. Board Member Smith-Juarez?
Thank you. We often talk about equity and how to meet students where they are and how to understand our tools in our toolbox around whether it be our budget, which is certainly a value statement in terms of the resources that we have that come in terms of policy and how we can craft and co-create policy that aligns to the needs of our students and that recognizes the diversity of those needs and of those student experiences. We talk about communications and how to ensure that the messages that we are sending are tailored to the audiences who need to hear them and tailored to the audiences in a way that they receive them and understand and are able to contribute back into the system. We talk about equity as it relates to not just the academic needs of our students, but the social and emotional needs of our students, the physical needs of our students as it relates to our buildings, as well as things like the USDA's Free and Reduced Lunch Program, which is a federal program that we deliver across our school system. So the opportunity to dig in and really examine and ask some tough questions of ourselves about the work that we have done to become more equitable as a school district and the work that we have yet to do to increase and improve our equity. I came home with quite a bit of homework for our superintendent and Ms. Coker-Daniels and others who, we've talked about some really deep sessions in teacher assignment and staffing. And how can we be more attuned to staffing our schools so that our students are willing and ready to learn as it relates to trauma that may happen in the experiences of children outside of our school buildings, but that certainly affects the way that they come into our schools and their ability to learn, and how we can build resilience in understanding what has happened to our children as well as what is right with them. And what assets do they hold and do they have? And how do we capitalize on those things? As well as thinking about, from a district perspective, how do we interface with community that may not have a direct connection to our school system? How do we make sure that those who do not have a child in the public schools understand their public education system as a civic asset and as something that helps to build community, not just for those who are walking through the doors every day, but for everyone throughout Jacksonville. And so what I wanted to conclude, since thank you for putting me forth, I'm not sure that you even knew this, but it worked out quite well, was a video that NSBA has put together, because I think we talk about equity quite a bit, and we talk about it theoretically, and we talk about it practically, but I want you to see it visually. And so I think that this represents not just what NSBA was helping to teach us, but what we try to represent as a school district every day. So hopefully that long lead-in has given our tech folks time. I'm getting the thumbs up.
For some, this is just a technology class. For her, it's the future. Communication is as important outside the classroom as it is inside. Helping a child succeed in school is complicated. Feeding them isn't. What can we accomplish when we work together? What can't we?
What do you think?
Thank you to everyone who shared, and to the public, just want to let you know that when we do attend these conferences, we do have a lot to bring back and we learn. And so to answer the question on the video, yes, equity is worth fighting for, and we do that every day. Dr. Green, it's time for the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Believe it or not, this is the end of my 7th month as superintendent of Duval County Public Schools, and I have now passed the 50th school mark. That means I've been on at least 50 campuses during these 7 months, and this past month I seem to have visited more schools than normal. So I just wanted to share, and I'm thinking I'm clicking that and it's this one. I just wanted to share some of my school visits. We started off with Ms. Smith Juarez. We went out and did a school tour at Inglewood High School. I was able to tour their advanced manufacturing early college program. They have an awesome set of instructors who are working with this cohort of students, which I don't want to just point them out. They have an awesome set of instructor teachers all over Inglewood High School, but these 3 particular programs, I was able to meet the teachers and some of the students. I met 5 students of the dual language program, and they shared with me and Ms. Smith Juarez their experience in being in dual language and their hopes and their dreams. And it was just inspiring to listen to these young people talk about what they've learned and how they've advanced, whether it's speaking English and also speaking Spanish, and the program, how it drew them to Inglewood when in reality they've learned English well enough that they could go to any other high school. And then Take Stock in Children. I've been a part of Take Stock in Children for a very long time, and it doesn't matter what school district Take Stock in Children is located. The students that are engaged in Take Stock in Children, which is a scholarship program. Many of these students are first-generation college-bound students. They have mentors who work with them each and every week, and the inspiration that comes from these young people, like I said, it doesn't matter what district, you just are in awe of their tenacity. And I met one young lady who goes to school all day, then she goes and teaches karate until midnight to 1 a.m., cleans the gym, comes home, gets ready for school the next day, and she keeps doing this day after day. And she made me tired just hearing about her 24-hour day that just seems to go on and on. But you would never know that, because she's so grateful for the opportunity of what Take Stock in Children offers to her. She's actually standing right next to Miss Smith Juarez. I don't know, is there a red light on this? No, there's not a red light. So the young lady who just goes, she's like a 24-hour, oh, there she is. She's being circled. That's the young lady. Next, I went to Best Park Elementary with the Tampa Bay Lightning. The Tampa Bay Lightning, I've been working with them for over 7 years, and they have a phenomenal program where they educate youth about the game of hockey. For every school that they attend, they give the physical education department street hockey sticks and balls to the students. So every student who's a part of the program, they get their own hockey stick and ball, but the school itself is given over 50 hockey sticks. The goal, I'm not hockey, so the goalie, whatever that thing is, they shoot the puck into. But it's all set up for them to be able to enjoy the game of hockey, and all you need is concrete. They don't need ice. They don't need pads. It is very safe. Instead of a puck, they are using these soft balls that the students just really had a great time. And they are in 10 of our schools. If you can see at the bottom, they are at Greenland Pines, Best Park, Bartram Springs, Henry Kite, Jacksonville Beach, St. Clair Evans, R.V. Daniels, and Beauclair. And every year, I don't know how they choose the schools that they visit, but every year they come and try to be in 10 schools in each of the school districts in the state of Florida. I was at Ortega Elementary School a couple of weeks ago for Pennies for Patients. For those individuals who know me very well, my older son was diagnosed with leukemia at the age of 2. So I have always given to this organization that supports patients and their families. But it's amazing how they come out to the school and they do a science lesson. They share with the students, and believe it or not, what I'm holding is a blood cell. And they talk about white cells, red blood cells, platelets. That's what I'm holding. I'm holding a platelet. I'm sorry. I'm holding a platelet, and how that works in their body. So not only are the school is participating in this fundraiser, but they also deliver science instruction for 5th grade students to support their knowledge about how the body works and how important it is to make sure that you go to the doctor once a year, and how our blood works through our circulatory system. Now, although this says beyond school walls, this is Lee High School. We went out to Haskell last week, and we want to thank Haskell and the big brothers and big sisters, and I want to thank Ms. Grimes. She took me to the one at the Hyatt, where this company had their employees mentor students from Lee High School who are part of the Engineering Academy, and their goal is to expose those students to jobs in their company that may be something those students might decide that they want to do in the future, but just the opportunity to be on the ground, real world experience, and talking with people who've already been where they are and who are where they want to be. It's just very exciting. And many of the mentors talked about, I think I'm probably going to learn more than the students that I'm mentoring. And the next one, I do not have a slide because I actually thought Ms. Hershey was going to talk about it tonight. But that's Mandarin Oaks Elementary School. Ms. Hershey and I went out to Mandarin Oaks Elementary School because Representative Jason Fisher donated a little over $8,000 to Mandarin Oaks Elementary for Project Lead the Way. And Ms. Hershey, if you want to talk more on the next board meeting about Project Lead the Way with...
I was going to do that for the record.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll let you do that. But that was another school that we visited just last week. And this past weekend, if we can go back to the PowerPoint, I was at the two events. I was at the Robotics Lego First competition at the Downtown Main Library on Saturday, and that we had Jeb Stewart advance to the regionals. Ribault Middle School received the Judges Award, and Matthew Gilbert received the Core Value Award. Those students were absolutely amazing. They were engaged. They were at the competition table, and it was like, could you please move out of my way? I need to be focused here. And so they drove the entire process, and the adults were only there to, whether they were referees or judges, but we are very excited. The regional competition will be held on Saturday, February 23rd at 9:00 a.m. at the Prine Osborne. Very fortunate for me, both events were in the Downtown Main Library. I also attended the Urban Education Symposium. It was very positive in that this symposium was focused on reclaiming Black male youth and focused on the successes of Duval County Public Schools. I know that our community engagement department, they were at the Urban Education Symposium, and many times when we hear about Duval County Public Schools, especially from other organizations, they may be pointing out areas of weakness. This entire presentation was talking about the success of Duval County Public Schools, the success we are having with grad rate, that for African Americans, we're now over 80% graduation rate, and that for African American males, and correct me, Kelly, we're at about 78, thank you, 78% graduation rate. So that was one of the major areas that they wanted to point out the success of Duval County Public Schools. But they also had conversation about areas where we need to continue working, such as third grade proficiency rates, the literacy rates, especially for African American males. They also pointed out the downward trend of out-of-school suspension for African American males. So it was a great conference. Unfortunately, I was going back and forth between two events, and it was just a great opportunity on a kind of rainy Saturday to be engaged with students and community members who feel our youth are worth coming out on a rainy Saturday and gain more information about what we're doing at Duval County Public Schools. And finally, I'm very honored to serve on the President's Search Committee for Florida State College at Jacksonville. There are two superintendents serving on this committee, the superintendent of Nassau County, Dr. Byrne, and myself. We have over 75 applicants, and I mean very prestigious applicants, and since I'm not supposed to talk about any of the applicants, I'll just leave it at that, very prestigious applicants. And next week we will narrow that group down to 5 semifinalists, I believe, and hopefully by the end of the spring, FSCJ will have a new president. Common Core Florida Standards Assessment, Florida Standards. Many of you may have heard that the governor put out an executive order that we were ending the Common Core standards, and I sent out an email to all of our staff to, one, calm them that this is not happening tomorrow, this is not happening next week, that we need to still be focused on the Florida standards. Our students will take the FSA. Sorry, students, it's still coming. the end of this spring, and that we need to remain focused on those standards. But at the same time, when that opportunity opens up for input and involvement, as Team Duval, we need to make sure that our teachers know when those opportunities are available so that they can give voice to whatever new standards that may be coming. But it is a process. If you're reading the paper, it says that Commissioner Corcoran will take the entire next school year, the 1920 school year, traveling Florida, listening, determining if any changes will be made to the Florida standards. And believe you me, if that happens, then we will know how to pivot and incorporate the training, the resources for our teachers. So I was speaking at the FAFSA conference this morning, and they were introducing the Florida Textbook Depository, and they weren't there. And when I got up to speak, I was asking, I wish they were there, because I need to make sure that my order hasn't quite gone through yet, so I can be sure that that whatever we purchase for textbooks, it is in alignment with the standards for the state of Florida. But for now, we need to focus on the Florida standards and focus on FSA for our students and their success. And we will engage our teachers in the process, and when that opportunity comes for input, we're going to hopefully make sure that our teachers are involved and feel a part of the process. Just a reminder, the community, this is a problem working two PowerPoints, the community meetings for the remainder of the month. This week we have Paxton School for Advanced Studies. Mr. Jones, that's our meeting Thursday. Please note the dates and the district, and it's important for parents to know you can go to a different district. Get to the closest, wherever you see the closest school being offered, the information is the same. We are presenting the same information. The only difference is when we break down the cost and the type of FCI, we're focusing on that school board member's district. So there are the dates. We have February 7th, February 11th at Douglas Anderson School of the Arts, and February 12th. Say it out loud. Okay, Alamacani. I said it in the office, and then I knew I wasn't going to mess it up. Alamacani Elementary, February 25th, Edward White High School, and then February 27th, Andrew Jackson High School, and then the 28th, Terry Parker High School. And the districts are listed at the top. So please, we are encouraging you to attend these meetings. These meetings are in relation to our Facilities Condition Index and sharing with our community the standard and care of our facilities. That's it.
Thank you very much. You have been busy.
Yes.
You did not mention you had a chat with the superintendent at Bartram Springs last week.
Maybe that's School 51, and I didn't count Bartram. So, I've been out at the schools.
Do we have any department reports? We are now to the public comments portion of our agenda. Those wishing to address the board must fill out blue speaker cards. The school board welcomes your comments on matters that are before the board for consideration. It is not the board's intent to respond this evening, but to use the input in our deliberations. To give everyone appropriate respect and courtesy, we ask the audience to refrain from audible comments or applause. When you come to the microphone, please state your name for the record. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. When the green light in front of me starts blinking, you will have a minute remaining. When the light turns yellow, you will have 30 seconds remaining. When it turns red and the buzzer sounds, your time will be up. If your concerns exceed that time, you may present written comments to the board. You are asked to refrain from references to specific individuals and to follow expectations of civil discourse. Please remember that speaker cards were accepted until 6:20 p.m. Thank you for taking your time to address the board. The first person to address the board tonight will be Joe Peppers. And I appreciate you being willing to speak to us now. I understand traffic and everything else, and thank you for your time.
Yes, ma'am. I apologize for missing. I ran over at City Hall. My name is Joe Peppers. I'm the CEO of Kids Hope Alliance, and I just wanted to take a second to say thank you to many of you whom I've gotten a chance to meet over my, I think, 8 or 9 months. I think I'm a couple months ahead of Dr. Green. It has been truly a joy. I've had lunch with a couple of school board members. Dr. Green has been gracious to me. Dr. Krisnar, Dr. Kelly Coger-Daniel. I'm trying to think of who are, maybe Jackie Simmons, but I am truly grateful. Our team is truly grateful for the partnership that we have. And I think the biggest thing that we look at, and I'll give you a quick story, is last week we had a showing for Literacy Week of The Hate U Give, which is obviously a very controversial book. And we had Duval County Public School students there. And quite honestly, what one might have expected to see was, some controversial language or volatile language, and what we really saw from your students is so much heart and an ability to articulate themselves in a way that one would have sort of not assumed. And so I just want to say thank you for allowing us to serve your students. We serve about 1,500 Duval County Public Schools through our funding. And what we saw last week, what we're seeing in our experiences with your students, particularly your high schoolers, has really been heartening. And hopefully we'll get a bill here passed soon that'll allow us to engage more of your high schoolers as we move forward. So again, I apologize for my tardiness, and I also just wanted to say thank you. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next is James Moser, followed by Miss Jernigan. I don't want to mispronounce your first name.
Good evening. My name is James Mosier. I want to speak to you about the same topic I talked about in the last school board meeting. I stand before you this evening in hopes to make positive changes for the 8,000 plus teachers that's working in Duval County. We need the students to be accountable. They're not. They're not being accountable for their behavior in every school, every classroom, every day. Accountability is an obligation or willingness to accept for one's actions. Students' accountability helps them take responsibility for their actions. Learning helps improve academic performance and achievements, plus a lot more. How do we make students accountable? First, we need a zero tolerance policy. Some surrounding counties have that policy right now. We shouldn't keep giving these kids chance after chance after chance after chance. That's what we're doing. To develop an effective code of conduct, I believe we should have input from teachers, parents, paras, students, concerned community members besides our school board members. Our repeat offenders should be receiving more severe consequences than what they are. I was told at my school that I did not give enough chances or interventions. The referral wasn't processed, it was NCC'd, and we've had almost 300 referrals NCC'd this year, thrown out, no consequences. What are we teaching our kids? The following is an example of a lack of accountability. I was told when I wrote up a student for skipping, I should have told the students that skipping was wrong at the beginning of the school year. And these are high school students. I believe if we can discipline in our schools, the students' academics, attendance, test scores will improve. We need to do something, folks. If I was on that school board right now, I'd be going to the schools, looking at the behavior. And I know a lot of you are former teachers. It's terrible in some of these schools right now. Go there and sub for a day or two. I just want the students to do great things in their lives, and I want to make Duval County Public Schools great again. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Ms. Jernigan, and would you state your first name? I just think I mispronounced it.
My name is Calandria Jernigan. I'm a parent. My child was a student at Joseph Finnegan. It was an inappropriate relationship with my husband and the principal. After gathering all the information, doing all the background that I needed, she had me taken to court, saying that I came to the school, I guess, harassed her. She was in fear for her life, but I feared for my marriage. She has destroyed everything in my house. After listening to Ashley say how a child performed after leaving home, you could tell when they're happy, they're unhappy. My child was happy because he was in a happy home. Now that it's torn, when the parent is torn, your child do not do the same. Child Protective Services showed up at my house after investigating that. When I got to the end, they told me that they knew for sure that it came from the school. When I got to court and told them all of everything that I could tell you, but I know I can't give you all of it in 3 minutes. Once I got here and realized that I could not say all of it in 3 minutes, the judge threw it out. Because after I told him the story, he knew for sure that I was not lying. When I did go to the school, I wanted information to talk to her husband because she had been talking to my husband. But I could never get that information. But when I show up at court, once it's thrown out, when I walk out, first person I see is the husband, the person I want to talk to. After talking to him, giving him the same story, he's saying, he know that what I was saying was not a lie. But the first question he asked me, are you going to make her lose her job? Because that is what I told her when I walked out of the school. Because the police officer walks up to me and hand me a paper and said that I could not come back inside the school. I could only drop my child off. But when we got to court, the judge told her no way that you're going to tell her she cannot come inside the school or come to the school and her child is still enrolled in that school. The husband asked me if I was gonna make her lose her job and that the white people already don't want her over there. I don't want you to call no cards with no white and black. I have a white grandfather who loves me to death and I love him real hard. So don't call that card and think that that was gonna save her. But he did know that I was not lying when I talked to the husband. And after her taking me to court, I wanted to know if it was only from the school or did the board know? I want to know what the board say. Did they know anything? Because I think they should have contacted me if it was something that I could not go to the school and participate in. Because I was a volunteering parent and very active, volunteering every Wednesday at the school.
Thank you. Will Todd, is that, and if that's not the right, followed by Bob Rotter, and then Holly Rumsey.
Good evening. I want to start off by saying my son went to graduated from Fletcher High School, and he also graduated from UNF. And while he was going to Fletcher High School, he had a very, very tough time. And the tough time was because it was the first school he had ever been to where he was called the N-word numerous times. And I say that as an opening statement because there was a movement afoot to change the way history is taught in our schools. And we have to be aware of that. The history of, and I've been here before to talk about this, the history of the enslavement of Africans, the Civil War, Reconstruction, civil rights movement is not being properly taught in our schools. Dylan Ruth went to a public high school, and these areas were not properly addressed. And this young man turned into a mass killer of 9 African Americans, parishioners who were doing nothing but studying the Bible. I want to invite each one of you to come to a national conference, the second one of its kind, which is being held March 22nd, 3rd, and 4th here in Jacksonville. This is a movement that's growing across the nation and around the world. And it's a movement to change the name of schools, to remove plaques and statues that honor slave owners, generals, and politicians who worked tirelessly to oppress and exploit the African and then African American community. The conference will be, as I said, 22nd, 23rd, 24th. I'm inviting you to the part that will be open to the public on the 23rd. We will have a panel discussion at the IBEW Hall. Each one of you will receive an email regarding this invitation. We'll have a panel discussion. We will have people from different parts of this country who are fighting to have these statues removed. From New Orleans, Mississippi, North Carolina, Virginia, and hopefully we will have a gentleman come in from Trinidad Tobago. There's a movement in England, and there's a movement in South Africa. Everywhere on this planet where people were enslaved, Africans were enslaved, there are names that need to be removed and changed. Thank you.
Thank you. Is it Rudder? Rudder.
From Neptune Beach. Hey. Here to celebrate Black History Month, but I want to talk about white history. LBJ gave a State of the Union. I'm going to read some from this book, which is an excellent, excellent history book. Should be in all our schools. It's brand new out. John Meacham, very famous author. Excellent book. Okay, LBJ, and this is his State of the Union, trying to get the Voting Rights Act passed. Every device of which human ingenuity is capable has been used to deny this right. The Negro citizen may go to register only to be told the day is wrong, the hour is late, the official in charge is absent. And if he persists and he manages to present himself to the registrar, he may be disqualified because he did not spell out his middle name or because he abbreviated a word on the application. If he manages to fill out the application, he is then given a test. The registrar is the sole judge of whether he passes this test. He may be asked to recite the entire Constitution or explain most complex provisions of state law. Even a college degree cannot prove that he can read and write. After he gave the speech, and this came after the Civil Rights Bill was passed, and after the Selma, Alabama bridge beating, he called Dr. King, or King called Johnson, who was back in the White House. It is ironic, Mr. King said, Dr. King said, Mr. President, that after a century, a Southern white president would help lead the way to salvation of the Negro. Thank you, Reverend, Johnson said. You're the leader who is making it all possible. I'm just trying to follow what is right. We need some people on this board in the year 2019 to stand up and do what is right. 1965, the same year LBJ gave that speech, The beach, Duval County School System opened a school at the beach named after Confederate General Finnegan. Just happened that lady came from. This not only is a Confederate general, along with 4 or 5 other schools named that year after Confederate generals in protest of integration, it was built on the historic Manhattan Beach, which was the colored beach. And they're trying to put a marker on that beach now, signifying, but it's already marked with a Confederate general. I would like to.
Thank you. If you have anything further, please give that to the council. Thank you.
Thank you.
Holly Rumsey.
Hi, my name is Holly Rumsey. I'm here on behalf of Take 'em Down Jacksonville. Slavery was not merely a chapter in U.S. history. It was an institution that created America. Face it, the Confederacy is not a rich part of our history. It's not worth naming schools or erecting statues and memorials in a physical manifestation of a set of ideas that aim to completely dehumanize and merchandise African Americans with no foreseeable conclusion. Confederate ideals hinged on the protection of slavery under national law. The Confederate Army put their lives on the line to protect the legal annihilation of millions of black lives. Terrorists is what they were. They should not be memorialized with a school name or a statue, a plaque, or a pedestal. Defending the permanence of Confederate symbols is, in essence, defending the celebration of figures who fought on the side of white supremacy. Protection of culture is obviously important. Without it, some cultures would disappear without a trace, forgotten by the few remaining who were knowledgeable of the subject. But removing Confederate school names and statues is not an attempt to stifle or disregard our history. In fact, it is the opposite. These school names and monuments pay tribute to individuals who took away and erased the history of thousands upon thousands of Africans through slavery, through the killing and slaughtering of innocents, through the destruction of black families by way of rape and separation on the auction block, all in the name of cruelty, white supremacy, exploitation, and greed. At the end of the day, this should be a simple issue to deal with. Rename all schools memorializing the Confederacy. Take them all down. It's not an issue of marginalizing the white voice, which in my opinion is a laughable plight as it is, but it's an issue of supporting those who want to feel supported and loved in their country, and that's a difficult conclusion to reach when African American children are forced to learn in a school that's named after someone who enslaved their ancestors. It's a hard conclusion to reach when Confederate and white supremacist statues stand as high as an immortal reminder that there is an enormous gap in whose voice is valued in this country. If you were Jewish, could you send your child to Adolf Hitler High School? That is child abuse. If you want equity, change the names of the schools in Duval County that are named after the Confederacy. Teach the real history of the Civil War and slavery in Duval County schools. I've got kids coming to us telling us that they're learning this whitewashed history, that Robert E. Lee was, say, an apologist of slavery, which we know is not true. It's just absolutely abhorrent. I'm a white woman and I will never know what it's like to be a black person or a black child who has to walk into Robert E. Lee High School every day. How do you expect a child to learn and to graduate? How?
Thank you for your comments. We are now on to parent organizations. Is there anyone from parent organizations here to speak tonight?
Good afternoon. How is everybody? To the chair, the board member. If you don't know, my name is Michael J. Hawk. I'm the school advisory, the district advisory council chairperson. Just bring you the highlights of our recent meeting from January. The main highlight was that Dr. Green and the Honorable Charlotte Joyce was at our meeting, and we were so pleased to have you all there. Ms. Joyce spoke to us a little concerning the legislative agenda as well as some other things. And Dr. Green informed us of the community meetings concerning the conditions of the school building. We also invited, and she did show up, Mrs. Lisa S. Ransom of Neighborhood Services with the City of Jacksonville. She gave us invaluable information that will empower our SACs to not only better serve the schools, but also the surrounding neighborhoods that their schools sit in. Overall, though, the amount of concerns or issues that each area has and that they bring to the meetings are really down. We're all about solutions, and as we have concerns, we seek to solve them either right there in the meeting or come back with a solution at the next meeting. There is one lingering concern that we have finally come to a conclusion of, and that is somewhere before our administration and probably before some of you were here, the balance of the areas was basically out of whack, to the point that the areas, say concerning Raines High School, had over 15 schools under it, and a school like Baldwin only had one. And so we have decided we're going to add language to our bylaws that will say that the areas will reflect the feeder patterns or the transportation patterns that DCPS puts out, which will bring back a balance to each area so that in the future it won't be just handwritten because a school becomes a magnet, a high school, it loses that particular area, then they disperse the schools to different areas. It'll just follow whatever the pattern is that Duval County Public Schools lays out. I do want to thank Dr. Green and Ms. Joyce for attending the meeting, and also I want to thank Mr. Jones for recommending Ms. Ransom to come to the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hawk. Is there anyone else from a parent organization who wishes to speak? One from the Student Government Association? We are now on to employee organizations. I see Mr. Stovall.
Good evening, board members. I won't take up too much time tonight. I've missed the last couple of meetings. I just keep ending up out of town. I just wanted to come and welcome Board Member Anderson, Board Member Joyce, and Board Member Willie to the board. Hope to, get some good work done with you in the future during your terms, and that's all I'm hearing. That's all I got to say tonight. Welcome.
Thank you. Anyone else? We are now on to approval of minutes that the Duval County School Board approve. The minutes for the meeting listed in the agenda item, December 18th, 2018 board workshop and committee meeting, January 7, 2019 regular board meeting, January 8, 2019 board workshop, January 8, 2019 special board meeting, January 16, 2019 policy handbook review committee meeting, January 22nd, 2019 board workshop and committee meeting. Is there a motion?
Move approval.
Second. That was moved by Vice Chair Jones and seconded by Board Member Willie. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, I call for your vote. By your actions, you have passed this 7-0. Approval of consent agenda. Are there any items to be placed on the consent agenda or items for discussion? Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Board Member Grimes, seconded by Vice Chair Jones. Is there any discussion? I call for your vote. By your actions, you have passed this item 7-0. Consent with comments, Human Resource Services staffing, approval of out-of-field teachers. Board Member Smith Juarez.
Thank you, Ms. Hershey. I first want to take the opportunity to really thank and commend our staff. When I joined the board years ago, this list was 2 or 3 times as long as it is now. And I know that there has been some intentional and strategic work to ensure that our teachers are credentialed and are in field to the degree that we are able. And so I really want to thank Ms. Young and Ms. Schultz and the staff that helps to work with our teachers to make sure that they are current on their licensure and that they're adding to as they are assigned to new fields. So thank you for that. I also think that it is commendable that our number of separations is decreasing. Teacher recruitment and retention has been a priority of this board for years, and we are seeing board and superintendent, and we are seeing some really positive trends in our teacher retention, as well as a decline in those who are out of field within an environment where we know that teacher recruitment and retention is not just a Duval County issue, it's a nationwide issue. So thank you to staff for all of your work and to the superintendent for continuing to lead in that effort. Through the chair to the superintendent, could you explain for teachers who are teaching out of field, what is the requirement of them, or what will they have to do based on their out of field status?
To the chair, to Ms. Smith Juarez, if they are teaching out of field and that's their only issue, then they have to do either coursework or be prepared to take the test for the field in which they are teaching. So if it is a math teacher, yet their degree is something else that would not qualify them to be a math teacher, then they're out of field. They either have to be prepared to take the test for that math coursework or take 6 credit hours per year until they get to the number of credits that they need to meet the certification requirement. And if they do not take the 6 hours during that year, then they can no longer teach that particular subject area until they've met all qualifications.
Thank you. And certainly we understand that this is well-intentioned policy, state certification statute to ensure that our teachers have the knowledge necessary to teach our children. But there's more to the story than that I think is important for us to note, and particularly as part of our legislative agenda, we have one of our items is the recruitment and retention of high-quality teachers. And we know that there are a number of factors that play into this, but as we're talking about out of field this evening, I think it's important to note the number of our teachers who are continuing to work toward their general knowledge test. This is a broad test that is required of teachers to be certified. We do not require in the state of Florida similar tests for, if you're certifying to be a nail tech, you don't necessarily have to know how to do hair color, right? If you are certifying to be an automobile mechanic, you don't have to know how to work on airplanes. But when we start to talk about the general knowledge test for our teachers, we are asking them to maintain a level of knowledge in a variety of areas that does not apply to what they are imparting in terms of knowledge to students every day. So I don't know about the rest of you. The last time I factored a polynomial was when I was in calculus class, which was too many years ago for me to count. And if I were asked to do that as someone who has been a civics teacher and a history teacher, I would have trouble. That would be a difficult skill set for me to relearn and regrasp while I was lesson planning, grading papers, engaging with my students, trying to show up at their games after school, run a club, be a sponsor, all of those types of things that we know our teachers do every day. And I really appreciate the superintendent pulling together some data that I think is important for the public to know as we begin this conversation with Tallahassee around some of the certification requirements for our teachers. When we talk about the experience level of teachers with outstanding general knowledge requirements, 308 teachers have 0 to 3 years experience, and this is over the span of their teaching career. So it might be 0 to 3 with us, it might be at another county or another state. 3 years or more, 42 teachers, and 4 years or greater, we have 82 teachers who have 4 years or greater experience who are still working to pass the general knowledge test. Teachers in the state of Florida have 3 years to pass the test, so most of these teachers would have taught somewhere else and then come to us. I'll tell you one of the sessions that I was in at the Equity Symposium that we mentioned earlier talked about the research behind the experience of a teacher and how it equates to effectiveness, and the importance of those 4 and 5 year teachers as they begin to really accelerate in terms of their ability to work with students. When we look at the performance of teachers who have yet to pass the general knowledge exam, we have 10 highly effective educators. And remember, this is a small subset. This is only 5% of our teachers. So we have 10 highly effective on their evaluations, their year-end evaluations, who have yet to pass the general knowledge test. And if they do not pass that test after 3 years, they will not be certificated with their emergency certification, which is not really an emergency, it's just what we call it until they get it, will not continue. We have 158 teachers who are effective. 158. We talk about the importance of stability in our classrooms and the consistency of teachers. 158 of them effective, 10 of them highly effective, 87.5% are either effective or highly effective when we talk about teachers still yet to complete the general knowledge portion of their licensure. And then we have 192 who have not yet been evaluated because they just haven't been with us long enough to go through that evaluation. So we anticipate that these percentages will continue to be reflected in those teachers as we move forward. So I note all of this because we know that our teachers who are teaching out of field oftentimes were asked to do that by a principal who needed a particular section of something that couldn't be covered by another teacher, or that there was a particular demand within a school that happened. Many of them are looking for their English language learner certification, which they may not know that they need until they get their class lists and their students are assigned. And so I really want to, again, commend staff for the work that you do, both to try to minimize the number of out-of-field teachers that we have, and also to assist those out-of-field teachers with the continuing education that the superintendent mentioned. But I also would encourage folks who are watching, and I know that we as a board will be having some conversation about licensure and what really makes sense for our teachers and what can assist us in this pursuit of recruiting and retaining high-quality educators for all of our students. So thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Board Member Smith-Juarez. We are now on to board member travel. That the Duval County School Board approve the following board member travel. February 11 through 15, 2019, Tallahassee, Florida, Legislative Committee Week. Anderson, Grimes, Hershey, Jones, Joyce, Smith-Juarez, and Willie. February 19th through 22nd, 2019, Tallahassee, Florida, Legislative Committee Week. Anderson, Grimes, Hershey, Jones, Joyce, Smith-Juarez, and Willie. March 5 through 29, 2019, Tallahassee, Florida, Legislative Session. Anderson, Grimes, Hershey, Jones, Joyce, Smith-Juarez, and Willie. March 7 through 9, 2019, Lake Buena Vista, Florida. 2019 National Association for Bilingual Education, Smith-Juarez. March 15 through 20, 2019, Washington, D.C., Council of Great City Schools Legislative and Policy Conference, Hershey and Joyce. Is there a motion?
Move approval.
It was moved by Vice Chair Jones and seconded by Board Member Joyce. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, I call for your vote. By your actions, you have passed this item 7-0. Superintendent travel, that the Duval County School Board approve the following superintendent travel: February 4th through 5th, 2019, Tallahassee, Florida, Florida Association of School Administrators Advocate Conference. February 8th, 2019, Tampa, Florida, Florida Association of School Administrators School Safety and Security Meeting. Is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
It was moved by Board Member Anderson and seconded by Board Member Smith Juarez. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, I call for your vote. By your actions, you have passed this item 7-0. We are on for the record, and we will start with Board Member Willie.
All right. Switch it up. Thanks everyone for coming out. Just a couple of quick things. I wanted to remind the folks in District 4 and surrounding areas about our community meeting on the 27th of February. It's going to be at Andrew Jackson. We've already gotten a bunch of questions about it and already been having conversations with folks about those topics. So really encourage any and everyone to come out and really get your questions heard and answered that evening. And I think it's going to be a great showing. Excited that the superintendent will be there. Excited that we're at Andrew Jackson. There's a lot of great things going on there as well. So I want to highlight some of those things too while we're there. Had a chance this week to go out. Of course, many folks did Literacy Week. So I got a chance to go out, and I've been reading a lot of books, which is great. I guess they called it celebrity reader, but I think it was like a faux celebrity. So I was a celebrity, faux celebrity in many a school, but it was just great to see the students engaged so highly and the staff so excited about Literacy Week. So I just want to kudos to all the different staff across the schools. I was at Andrew Robinson today, and it was just an exciting time to be there. They packed the house with different folks from the community to come in and read. And I think that's what we need to do, get folks inside of our doors to see what's happening there. In addition, I followed right behind you, Dr. Green, this Saturday. So I came after you to the Urban Education Symposium, which is something I've been involved in for years. And it was great to see exactly what you said, highlighting our young black men. I got to actually announce 20 of them and give them an award that had amazing GPAs, were doing things, high flyers. And it just brought joy to me to see that and to see us be able to highlight that. And that's the kind of news that we need to be pushing out. And then I went upstairs to the Lego piece as well, and I've never seen anything like it. There was a buzz in there. They didn't even know I was there. Just whizzing past, like you were saying. I think somebody asked me if I brought the lunch, and I was like, that's not my job. But it was great. And then last, I did want to say, there's been a lot of this job or this role as a board member has just been amazing working with these individuals up here. And one of the things that kept coming up during the campaign and even now is like what I'm going to do with my other job. I'm also the executive director of Teach for America. So I wanted to announce to this board and to the public that I actually am going to be transitioning out of my role as the executive director of Teach for America, so I can focus fully live into this role with you all and with you, because I want us to be able to fly as high as we can, and I don't need any types of interference with that. So I'm excited about that and wanted to just make sure I let you know that. But also Teach for America is celebrating 10 years. That's coming up this weekend. They're going to be doing a celebration. I'm actually saying it's my going away kind of party as well. So I invite all of the folks in this room and otherwise to have fun with that and come engage with that. But thank you for the time, and I'll yield the rest of the floor.
Thank you. Board Member Joyce.
Oh, I get to go second. I want to start off by saying the presentations earlier were amazing. My husband and I are part of American Farm Bureau, so we work with the Future Farmers of America. And so, Board Member Anderson, I'm really excited to get out to your school and to see all of the wonderful things they're doing there. Our two football teams, Mandarin and Rains. I used to, a long time ago, be a competitive athlete. And so I understand the amount of hard work and dedication it takes to get to that level of perfection. But also, it takes great leaders. So the coaches have done a phenomenal job of getting their players ready for that. Right now, we are in the middle of preparing for FSA testing. And so Team Duval, I'm going to give a shout out to our teachers right now that are our exceptional leaders who are preparing our students with push-ins and pull-outs and tutoring after school and giving their time to make sure their students are successful. And I would just ask that our students show up prepared every day, ready to learn, so that we can get an A in our district this year. I have finished all my school visits, so that's been exciting, being in all the schools in District 6. I commit to my people that I will be there at least twice a year. I will be there, and please feel free to contact me if you have questions or if you have needs or if you just want me to participate in an event. I will be thrilled to be there to join you. So, thank you.
Board Member Grimes.
Wow, you are really
I'm just trying to keep it exciting.
I want to congratulate and give a lot of kudos to Ms. Peak for the choice fair. Yeah, I'm sure you remember that, right? You're going, what? I know that you and your team did a wonderful job. It was amazing, and I think the superintendent must have thought it was pretty, since this was your first one, that it was amazing. I think it really showed a lot about our parents and how much they do want to see what's best for their children. And so I really appreciate you and your team, and I know lots of others, but I think if it had fallen, it would have been on you. So since it was successful, I'll also say it's on you. I also attended the Martin Luther King breakfast, and I thought it was really well done. It saddens me a bit that we are still kind of divided in our community, knowing that there was another one going on at the same time. So I hope next year that will be different. But I was very inspired by the program. And to you, I think that's really admirable. I know that your love has been for a while. And have you been here 10 years?
No.
Oh.
No, 7, 8. 8 years. Okay. Well,
I remember when you came.
Yeah.
But I certainly appreciate you moving into a different space.
Yeah.
And doing 2 jobs is really hard. So, and I think that's all.
Thank you. Board Member Smith Juarez.
Thank you. Thank you for mentioning the choice fair. There's been so much going on this month. It seems like that must have been longer than a month ago, but in fact, it wasn't. So thank you, and yes, congratulations to you on another amazing event, and to all of our principals and school staff and students who contributed to the booths and the district departments that were there and all of the various things that were represented. I think it demonstrates that there is something wonderful about every one of our Duval County Public Schools, and that it's truly worth looking around for what is best for each family. I want to thank the superintendent for visiting Inglewood with me. She talked a bit about our visit in her report, so I won't belabor it. But another of the incredible students that we met while we were there was Johanna Hanner, who is represented in the Black History Month calendar this year. And she was nominated and represents making Jacksonville an attractive city and is very committed to continuing to work here for her greater community in making Jacksonville a place where young people want to live and work and play and learn. I also, and I'm a little bit sad that this is the first year that I have attended because it was so fantastic. I cannot tell you. I attended the district spelling bee. It was amazing. And I really want to congratulate Desiree Bolton for all of her work in putting that together and making that happen. It was at Landon this year. And the students were incredible. And I have to tell you, as much as I was impressed, I would have been out by second or third round easy. And as much as I was impressed by their diligence and their ability to sound out and spell the words, I was really impressed by the way that they encouraged each other and by the way that they responded to each other when one of the students made a mistake and got out and around. You could see the disappointment on the others' faces, and they wanted to encourage those students and let them know what they had done wrong and how they could improve with little whispers that you could tell as they went back to their seats. And similarly, when children advanced to the next round, everyone on stage was excited. And to see that kind of collegiality among our students when they were competing against each other, but they wanted everyone to do well, was just a real treat. I also want to thank J&J VistaCon for having all of our school counselors out to their campus, giving them a little bit more direct exposure to some of the pathways for our students into the world of work, as well as giving them a really comfortable and a professional space to do some of their own professional learning and cross-school conversation and communication. And just want to recognize all of our school counselors during School Counseling Week. They do tremendous work in our schools that oftentimes is under the radar, but is so central and critical to how our schools come together. And finally, I want to mention our PTSA's, our District County Council PTSA's Student Leadership Academy. They were really gracious in having me out to talk to their young people who will go to Tallahassee on March the 6th to talk to them a little bit about the legislative process and to help facilitate and workshop with them ideas that they had around policy change that they would like to see. And they were impressive, they were headstrong, they knew what they wanted to say and were very communicative around what changes they would like to see and what would assist them in their education continuum. So congratulations to the District County Council on another great group of students who I'm sure will make a strong impression in Tallahassee. And finally, sorry, I have a long list this month. It's been a very busy month. I want to again thank the superintendent and board member Willie. The three of us went out to Matthew Gilbert on Martin Luther King Day and assisted the 100+ City Year Corps members and 130+ community volunteers who came out to do a variety and wide array of murals all around that school. It was absolutely transformed. And to know and to be there with those 130+ volunteers and the over 100 City Year Corps members who dedicate a year of their time to be in our schools every day, working with students, doing whatever it takes, encouraging them, following them along, giving them direct academic help, giving them social support, making sure that they feel connected in their school, that they would show up on a day that others were taking away from the school, I'm sure in a variety of capacities, but commit back to the school to making it an even more joyous place for those children. I did not, but both the superintendent and Mr. Willie shared some of their the things that stuck with them about Dr. King's work. And one thing that Dr. King said was that the arc of the moral universe is long, but that it bends toward justice. And I believe that the City Year Corps members, my colleagues, and those volunteers stood on the side of justice that day and bent that arc a little closer to where we are now. So I want to say thank you to City Year, and thank you to everyone who came out to volunteer.
Thank you. Board Member Anderson?
Thank you. I do want to go back for a second because I feel like I would be remiss if I didn't mention that part of my time in DC, I got to talk to a lot of people around the country and what's happening in their districts. And when we got to go to our new board member training for the state of Florida, we talked to districts around the state of Florida. And I'll tell you that my time in having these conversations, it's pretty clear to me that we do a lot of really wonderful things here in Duval County. And so I am grateful for the opportunity to go and again, to have that relationship with people where I hear them talking or complaining sometimes about things that are happening and understanding that we are really getting a lot right. And so thank you to Dr. Green and all of the staff here because I'm pretty proud to be able to have this opportunity to advocate for the wonderful work that we are doing. So that's number two. I want to say thank you so much to all of my schools that have been having me out. I've made it to almost half of them, so getting to read at schools and getting to feed fish at schools and doing so many fun things and just kind of getting to build those relationships with my principals. And we know, as Ms. Young so wisely pointed out to me when we first met, you know, that people work for people. And so having those relationships with my schools and having those relationships within the schools and at a district level is something that's really important to me. And so thank you to the schools for having me out, and I look forward to getting to the rest of them. I would be remiss not to say happy School Counseling Week because that's kind of my thing. You know. So if you don't know about School Counseling Week or you are interested in doing more to celebrate School Counseling Week, you can go to schoolcounselor.org. There's lots of little things going on each day. But as Board Member Smith Juarez said, you know, the work that our school counselors do is very impactful, not only in the student success within our schools, but for college and career planning and the variety of organizing and planning that they have to do at the school level. And now their job has become even more complicated, especially in our state with lots of rules around safety and threat assessments and all kinds of things. So their responsibilities are vast, and I thank them very much for that. So it's important to take a moment to appreciate them this week. Let's see. Community meeting. My community meeting is next Tuesday at 6 p.m. at Alamocani. I do think that it's really important that everybody comes out, not just parents, but taxpayers. We all own these schools. We pay our money, and what happens to them is going to impact you. And so please feel free to come on out, even if you don't have a child in Duval County Public Schools. And finally, something that I kind of do personally that I thought I would share, I like to kind of keep small phrases, and I find that they pop up throughout the month. So some kind of words to live by. And so my words this month are that simple is not always easy. And so when we look at the things that we're doing on a daily basis, really having some gratitude and respect for the difficulty that sometimes really simple tasks can be in our daily lives. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Vice Chair Jones.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I want to commend you and Mrs. Tutwiler for pulling that, and the superintendent for putting the meeting together with the JPEP board and the school board and the superintendent. I thought that was very productive. I think it would lead to a better working relationship between the two organizations, although we know that the donors have sort of closed the door on what we are doing, but I think rebuilding that relationship with JPEP and their outreach to some of the donors will help this district moving forward. So I just want to commend you on that. With this being Black History Month, I just wanted to reflect on the first Black school board member, Wendell Holmes, who served this city with distinction and honor for a number of years. There was no term limit when he got elected. Okay. And his wife just happened to be my 4th grade teacher at Forest Park Elementary School. Didn't know that until many years later that was his wife, because Holmes is not, it's a fairly common name. But he served well. He was the first black to serve on the school board in Duval County. He was the first black school board chairperson in the state of Florida. So, and his pictures, of course, in the halls of fame. And he was nominated for the Civil Rights Hall of Fame in Tallahassee. Also don't want to remind folks of the community meeting for District 5, which is this Thursday at 6 o'clock. I have several, like many of us have several magnet schools, so what I encourage parents to do is attend the one that's closest to where you live. I mean, the information is the same, and if you have a student that attends Paxson, but you live in, well, you missed the Mandarin, that was last week, but if you live at the beach or somewhere, you feel free to attend the school that's, the community meeting that's closest to where you live. And again, Ms. Peak, hats off to you and the job you did at the expo. It was very exciting. I had a chance to visit all 38 of my schools while I was there. So I was there. and I kept looking for Dr. Green, and I couldn't. Oh, she left 15 minutes ago.
I visited all 100.
Oh. Well, you got me beat. You got me beat. Yeah. But it was exciting, and the kids were excited. The parents were, I think, kind of blown away with the offering that we have and what outstanding programs we offer here in Duval County. So I just want to thank you and the entire staff for the work that they did that day. And Jim Pritchett, who is the director for the convention center, said, well, they ought to move it to more than one day so we don't have, I said, no, I don't know if we want to work that hard for more than one day. But he was trying to broaden the experience so that we could, the parents would have more than one day to attend. But again, thank you for your work. And Madam Superintendent, I know it was an eye-opener for you. That was your first one, but you moved pretty fast because I never could catch up with you. But thank you, Madam Chair.
I think it's obvious that the board has been hard at work this month, from board-to-board meetings with JPEF, not to mention everything that Board Member Willie and Dr. Green mentioned that they did on Saturday. Saturday, I actually attended at Mandarin High School. It was the District Duval County Honor Choir. Just happened to have 2 nieces, one in high school and one in elementary school, so I was there Saturday. It was an exciting event that I was unaware of until my nieces were in it. But we actually bring in directors who work with these students for 3 days, and then they put on this performance. It was an outstanding event and something to be at. And that's why we have a 7-person board, so we can all do all of these different things. I would like to say a special thank you to Representative Jason Fisher for the seed money that he was able to give Mandarin Oaks Elementary to help with Project Lead the Way, which is an exciting program with STEM curriculum that will be a great addition to the schools in District 7 and to the community. And thank you, Dr. Green, for the chat with the superintendent. And we had a community meeting at Loretto. It was well attended, good conversation and input by the community, and I hope that everyone else, your community meetings go as well, and you have as much support as I think we did with the community recognizing our needs, specifically financial. Just want to remind everybody that the deadline for choice is fast approaching. What is the deadline date, Ms. Peak? February 28th, so get those applications in. Also want to remind everyone, and I know that Board Member Smith-Juarez was going to say this, but Extravaganza is coming up. The 23rd, so get your tickets. I did look online and they're selling fast, so you might want to get yours. And also let everyone know that we will be celebrating the Eddie Awards, which is our Teacher of the Year, which is put on for us by the Jacksonville Public Education Fund with other sponsors. Florida Blue is a big sponsor of that event. So we will be celebrating teachers on February 15th. And we've got a lot of good things happening, and I hope that you all took note of that this evening. Having said that, do I hear a motion to adjourn? Second. It was moved by Board Member Grimes and seconded by Board Member Smith. Whereas, all in favor? Aye. We are adjourned.
I said no video games until you do your homework.
But I am doing my homework. Guys, did you catch that glitch? Gotta fix that code before class. Video game programming? We have that.
Choice applications are due February 28th.
Try it now. By the way, your serpentine belt needs to be replaced, but I can get to that after school. Automotive, we have that.
Choice applications are due February 28th.
Dad, I'm practicing. The arts. We have that.
Choice applications are due February 28th.
We're in high school.
Yeah?
But you're taking college classes?
Yeah?
But we're in high school.
Yeah, I know.
Accelerated programs?
We have that. Choice applications are due February 28th.
Oh! Looks like a contusion of the distal phalanx.
Do I need surgery?
For a bruise